Good morning, afternoon, Math 2 crew. We are now going to look at more questions from section 8.8, solve by completing the square. We're looking at page 469, so let's begin. Start with an easy question without solving. We are just going to complete the square. And so my coefficient of x squared is 1. That's great, don't have to divide by anything. So let's take half the middle term, which is 7, divide that by 2, and we don't convert to decimals, so we leave it as is. Then we take the middle term after it's been halved and square it. And so 7 times 7 is 49, 2 times 2 is 4, and so this is what you add to complete the square. Now, to take it one step further, and it doesn't, the factored form would be okay? Moving on. Solve each equation by completing the square. So we're going to solve this by completing the square. So let's take half the middle term. You can reduce it, so it's 2. I take 2 and square it, and that's 4. So the factored form is, or excuse me, the completed square form is, we're going to add 4, and also add 4 to the right side. And so what I've just done is I've completed the square. And all that means is that this quadratic, which was incomplete, is now complete because I can factor it. And the factored form is x plus 2 times x plus 2, or x plus 2 quantity squared. And if you're still getting hung up on this step here, then show the steps, draw the diamond, and go ahead and work that out. Now since it's in this form, we can take the square root, and we end up with x plus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 16, which is 4. Subtract 2 from either side. And so my answer is x equals negative 2 plus or minus 4. And now we have two solutions. And here they are. So I'll give myself a little bit of room. I'm moving this. Say that again. And x equals 2 or x equals 6. Moving on to the next question. Again, solving for x using completing the square. So I'm going to take the 13, move it over to the right side of the equation. Half of negative 8. Just break that up. It's negative 4. Negative 4 squared is positive 16. This is completed because it can be factored. Factored form is take the square root. Let's add 3 to either side, or add 4. And so x equals 4 keep going. Number 11, I think I worked this one out in class. I'll do it again. Move that negative 2 over. And I should have divided first before moving that over, but oh well. That's okay. We have to divide by 4. And again, the reason is because this completing the square works when the coefficient of x squared is 1, and it wasn't. It was 4. And so we divide to make that 1x squared. Now we have fractions, but that's okay. We can work with this. Now the middle term is negative 7/4. Half of that, well, multiply it by half, and it gives you half the amount. Okay, negative 7/8, half that amount. Now take negative 7/8 and square it. It gives us positive 49/64. Okay, so let's add 49/64 to each side. And so this amount completes the square, which is factorable. The factored form is okay. Here, pay attention. 64 is 32 times 32, or 32 times 2 is 64. So to add a half plus 49/64, let's make a half 64 by multiplying it by 32. And so this becomes 32 over 64. Adding 32 and 49, if it was 50, it'd be 82. It'd be 81 over 64. All right? And each of those is a perfect square number, which is nice. So, x minus 7/8 equals plus or minus square root of 81 plus the square root of 64. Quotient property. Add 7/8 to each side. We end up with x equals, and I'm just going to give myself a little bit more room. 7/8 plus or minus 9 over 8. Where'd 9 over 8 come from? Square root of 81 is 9, square root of 64 is 8. Okay, so we have two answers. I should say two solutions, proper way of saying that. We have two solutions. Okay, that's a wrap, guys. Thank you for listening. Remember, like I always say, study hard and learn a lot. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.